Hi, my name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. It's time to expose our situation for what it is. It's time to realize we're a nation on the verge of suicide because we have a political elite class that does not serve the people of this nation. We're going to be asked to blame people. We're going to be asked to point fingers. We're going to be asked to look anywhere and everywhere other than the reasons, the people who brought us to this condition we are in right now. We need to understand this because it is coming. September 29, 2008, by a vote of 228 to 208, Congress said no to the bailouts. On that very same day, those members of Congress found out truly who was in control of this nation. They could have stood up again and said no, but they didn't. They bowed to the pressure of Wall Street. They bowed to the pressure of a 777-point drop on the Dow on the same day they rejected a bailout. The next day, the markets rose 485 points on the optimism that Wall Street got their way, and indeed they did. Hank Paulson, former CEO of Goldman Sachs, got his way. $700 billion bailout that we know now has cost this nation trillions of dollars. So here we sit again, half a decade later, another $8 trillion in sovereign debt, 75 to over 100% debt to GDP ratio, food stamp rolls exploding, welfare rolls exploding, jobs decreasing, wages decreasing, standard of living decreasing, more and more foreclosures, a nation that is broke, a nation that is imploding under its own debt, its own debt that its Washington so-called representatives have no problem piling on time and time and time again. So what happens if we don't reach a debt deal? What happens if we don't reach an impasse to government shutdown? Pain. You can't deny it. It is coming. Look what happens when food stamp program closes down for a few hours over the weekend. People lose their mind. But we're going to have to take this pain. We're going to have to expose the people who brought us here. And we're not going to fall for the lies of Washington, D.C. and the mainstream establishment media when they say that it is representative government that failed. It isn't. It's the stray of this government from our constitutional principles that has failed. That is what's failed this nation, not our form of government, not a constitutional republic. In fact, if we'd have followed the tenets and the principles of the Constitution, we wouldn't be in the position we're in right now. We wouldn't even be close to the position we're in right now. We wouldn't have saved AIG. We wouldn't have saved Goldman Sachs or all these other institutions that have not only become too big to fail, they've become completely and totally dominant on the global stage. Dominant. They are going to, at a point, let this thing collapse. They understand that we can't keep going on this way, this never-ending debt. And when they do, they want you to blame anybody and everybody other than the bankers and the corrupt politicians that brought us here. They want you blaming your neighbor. They want you blaming the guy that lost his house, lost his job, lost everything. They want you looking anywhere but at the true cause of the problem. D.C., the corruption between D.C. and Wall Street. This is the problem. Let this thing collapse under its own hubris. But do not forget why we are here. Do not forget that it isn't your neighbor across the street. It isn't the lady who's on welfare. It isn't the 50 million people on food stamps. It isn't the $100 trillion of student loan debt that's out there that broke the back of this nation. It is Washington, D.C. bending to the will of financial special interest. Remember that because it's going to be important. Stories are attached. That's all I got.